It's time for us to get real about the Mariners' playoff chances in 2023. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. September is certainly coming up fast, and the Mariners still find themselves outside of a wild card spot and even further back in the division. But the real truth about the Mariners' playoff chances is that it all hinges on the next few weeks of baseball. But there is one thing that could salvage the Mariners' season, even if they don't play their best ball over the next few weeks, that we'll talk about later in this video. After 3 gut-wrenching losses in a row, following up an 8-game winning streak, it all felt like the Mariners season was over. Because that's just what it's like as Mariners fans. A few things go right, and then it feels like everything's gonna come crumbling down. Fact of the matter is, the Mariners still won the series in Kansas City 3-1, which is honestly all you could hope for. It's really hard to sweep a team over a 4-game set, and going into that series, you just gotta think, take 3 of 4. But now today they go into another house of horrors, and that is Minute Maid Park versus the Houston Astros. For the Mariners this year, they've actually handled the Astros quite well. The first time this year the Mariners played the Astros, the Mariners took 2 of 3 at home, including winning 7-5 and 3-1 in the final game of that series. And then of course there was the 4-game set in Minute Maid, where again the Mariners took 3 of 4. They won 5-1, 10-1, and 3-1, and they lost a game 3-2. So the Mariners are 5-2 against the Astros this season. In this series versus the Astros, you will have Bryce Miller, Logan Gilbert, and Emerson Hancock on the mound in those 3 respective games, going up against JP France, Framber Valdez, and Hunter Brown. Those are tough matchups for the Mariners, and the biggest thing here, don't get swept. If the Mariners can somehow find a way to win this series versus the Astros, that is a huge move for them in the wild card race. At the time of recording this in the division, the Mariners are 3.5 back of the Houston Astros, who sit at 70-52. And as of right now, the Houston Astros have secured the 2nd spot in the wild card. Again, they're 70-52, they're 2.5 games back of the Tampa Bay Rays and 3 up over Toronto. Of course, the Mariners sit just a half game back of the 3rd wildcard spot. If you lose this series to the Houston Astros, it's not the end of the world, okay? I know that everyone's going to think it is if you lose this series. Let's say the Mariners come out of it with a 6-4 record against the Astros so far this year. You take that. Those are going to be 3 very tough games. Jose Altuve looks like he dodged an injury scare. Of course, Jordan is there. There's a lot going on for the Mariners in Houston. And they also don't have their 2 best pitchers in Gilbert and Kirby going up at all, as they pitched in the last 2 games against the Royals. However, after that series versus Houston, you get to fly to Chicago and take on the White Sox, a team that has been absolutely atrocious this year. Then you get to play Kansas City again at home, which, again, before this month, we thought, oh, that's a cakewalk. Turns out Kansas City's actually hard to beat. Then you get to play Oakland. So you get to play the 2 worst teams in baseball in back-to-back series. Then you fly to New York and play the Mets. The next 4 or so series are going to be really important for the Mariners, because if they can come away with a really good record versus all of these teams, the Mariners are going to find themselves more than likely in a wild card spot. You're looking at the next 15 games for the Mariners. It ends with the New York Mets. You need to take advantage of those games. Again, the Houston series will be tough. It really will. And we just saw how good Kansas City can be, but the Mariners need to play their best baseball and make sure that they come away in these next 15 games, maybe 9-6, 10-5, bare minimum, in my opinion. You do that and you're setting yourself up for a massive end to the season. Because, as we've talked about before, the last 10 or so games of the season are very important. And this is the one thing that really stands the Mariners apart from other teams in baseball. The last 10 or so games of the season. You play Texas for 3, then you play Houston for 3, then you play Texas for 4. 7 games versus the Texas Rangers and 3 against the Houston Astros. As of this very moment, the Mariners are 6 games back of the Rangers. Just for a moment, imagine with me that the Mariners play really well in those 10 games, and there is still a chance that they overtake this division. It's a slim one. It really is. But it is there, and at the end of the season, the Mariners may control their own destiny as long as over the next few weeks they take care of business. Of course, there are still teams to beat in between those final 10 and the next 15 games that we see for the Mariners. That includes the Cincinnati Reds, the Tampa Bay Rays, Los Angeles Angels of Disneyland, Los Angeles Dodgers, and Oakland. But if over these next 15 games, the Mariners can take away, again, hopefully 10 of these games, if not more, then you're looking at a team that's setting themselves up for success in this part of the schedule right here. If you go 10-5 in the next 15 games, you're looking at a record of 76-60. 16 games over 500. The Mariners have one of the easiest strengths of schedule left, and I think the next 15 games are going to be the most important of the season up until that last homestand for the Mariners. If they can take care of business in this homestand, then the Mariners are setting themselves up to win the division of the American League West and at least make the wild card. It's not going to be easy. Like I said, you don't have to go 10-5 in these next 15, but it would certainly help. Julio Rodriguez is playing his best baseball of the year right now. Teoscar Hernandez is still kind of hit or miss. Gino is slowed down a bit. But you also will be getting back the captain of your team sooner rather than later, hopefully while you are in Houston. JP Crawford has meant so much to this team, and getting him back is going to be a huge part of it. Joe broke down exactly how much JP means to this team in this video on the screen now. I appreciate you guys watching this one, and go Mariners.